Hello, my friends and family. I'm so thankful that you're joining me every day for these devotionals. I hope that the reading and the thoughts that I present each night are beneficial to you as much as they are beneficial to me. I love reading through the Bible, and I love encouraging you to do the same. I love breaking down each chapter and summarizing it, and I hope that you're learning something each time. I know that I'm not going over every single detail that's in the reading, but I hope for the most part that we're able to hit some highlights and capture something that we can learn and then apply in our lives together. I'll go ahead and tell you that tomorrow's reading is chapter 43 through 45 of the book of Genesis. This reading will further develop the story of Joseph and the establishment of the people of Israel in Egypt. Tonight, we have read 41 and 42, and it is here that we discover the power of God's providence in the life of Joseph. Now, when I sleep, I guess I dream, and I guess we all do, but for some reason, I don't ever remember my dreams for the most part. At least, maybe in some way, my mind just kind of wipes it clean every single morning, and I never can recollect what I dreamed about. But you know what? That was not the case for Pharaoh. It is in this chapter that we read that while Joseph was still in prison, Pharaoh had a dream in which he stood by the Nile River and saw 7 healthy, well-fed cows come from the waters. Afterwards, he saw 7 thin, ugly, or sickly cows come out of the water, and they ate the healthy ones. Then Pharaoh woke up, and then he fell back to sleep again, and he dreamed a second time. But here he saw in this dream 7 healthy heads of corn. Then 7 thin heads of corn came up and swallowed the healthy ones. In the morning, this totally distressed Pharaoh, and he called for all the wise men and the magicians of Egypt to come, and he recalled the dream to them, but no one was able to interpret their meanings. When no one could discern the meaning of Pharaoh's dreams, the chief butler, remember him from a few readings back? He remembered Joseph and told Pharaoh how he had correctly interpreted the dreams that he and the chief baker had. He told Pharaoh that the interpretations given to them by Joseph both came true, one on a positive light and one on a negative light. One man was restored, one man was hung. Hearing this, Pharaoh ordered for Joseph to be brought out before him so that he could interpret the dreams. And after he arrived, Pharaoh narrated the dreams to Joseph. Joseph told Pharaoh that the dreams had one meaning, and that would be that Egypt would experience 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine. Again, one with a positive outcome and one with a negative outcome. He also informed Pharaoh that it was God who was showing him what he was going to do. There are 2 things to note in this text. Notice who Joseph gives credit to. First, he says in verse 16 about who will interpret the dreams, "It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer." And then again in verse 25 that we've already kind of alluded to, Joseph says, God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. Because he interpreted Pharaoh's dreams, Joseph was made second in command in all the land of Egypt. And he was tasked with getting the Egyptians through the famine. I wonder if they had any kind of a catchy title for this task that he was given. Maybe Operation Grain Giver, or the Dream Team, or Operation Not Just Another Pyramid Scheme. I don't know. Anyway, I digress. Joseph was given a wife, and he was blessed with 2 sons named Manasseh and Ephraim. When the famine began, Pharaoh told the people of Egypt to go to Joseph, and he will know and tell them what to do. But this famine was not just felt in Egypt. It was in many other countries. And those people came from those countries to Egypt to buy food. And that's where chapter 42 picks up, with Joseph's own family coming. And it's 38 verses which detail how Joseph met with his brothers more than 20 years after they had sold him as a slave. Jacob sent his sons with the exception of Benjamin, the youngest besides Joseph, to go and buy food in Egypt since there was a famine in Canaan. And since Joseph was in charge of selling food, when his brothers came to Egypt, they sought counsel with him, not knowing who he was. And although they did not recognize Joseph at their first meeting, Joseph recognized his brothers and told them he thought they were spies. It is really here that we start to see that he begins to plan how he might be able to reunite with his family. You know, all of his brothers denied being spies, and Joseph told his brothers that he did not believe them and that they needed to go back and bring their youngest brother to Egypt if they were going to be proven innocent. Then he put his brothers in prison for 3 days, and on the 4th day, he went to the prison and released all of them except for Simeon. And he ordered his servants to fill their sacks with corn. And after they had been filled, Joseph put some money in their food sack as well. Money that they had used to buy the food. See, they got a really good deal on the food in Egypt. On their way home, one of them noticed that this money was there and it had been replaced, and all of them were frightened. When they arrived home, they told their father what had happened in Egypt. They told him that the governor, Joseph, had taken Simeon and would only release him if they brought Benjamin back to prove that they were not spies. Now, if you remember, Benjamin and Joseph both came from Rachel. They were very, very close. And as Jacob believed that Joseph was already dead and had learned that Simeon was detained, he was somewhat reluctant to let Benjamin go. Although Reuben had sworn to bring Benjamin back, Jacob insisted that if something happened to Benjamin, he would die of sorrow. And like any good story, this is to be continued tomorrow on another episode of Now the Day is Over. One thing to notice and to think about from reading this text is this. Maybe here's the application part of this. Even with the hurt and the betrayal Joseph experienced from his brothers earlier in life, now that he is older, you can see that he still loves his family. He still wants to be there with them. Did you notice in verse 24 of chapter 42 how Joseph turned away from them and he wept? I think this clearly demonstrates the deep emotional bond he had with his brothers. I'm hoping that we can demonstrate the same response to our families when hurt, pain, lies, betrayal, anything like that might be present. Can we still forgive? Can we still love? Can we still want what is best for each other? That's my prayer. I love you, and good night.